Good evening, everyone. We're at the fifth Sunday of Lent, on the way to Palm Sunday. What blessings God has given us during this Lent, and He will continue to give us more, and especially during Holy Week. I'd like to meditate a little bit today on suffering. Suffering, what a mystery suffering is. And it's part of our life. No one can escape suffering. It shows its face when you least expect it. And you can have physical suffering, you can have emotional suffering, you can have mental suffering or spiritual suffering. And it's something that is so difficult to deal with in life. And it's been a struggle for humans since the beginning. And no one has given us an answer that we say is complete intellectually. We know that suffering entered the world because of sin. When sin entered the world, we lost the paradise. Remember what St. Paul says, the wage of sin is death. So suffering entered sin mysteriously, and we live in a beautiful world, but there's a certain disorder in it because of sin, and that's why we suffer in this world. But the only way I can figure out to deal with suffering, I don't know, and this is my personal experience. You know, everybody has to figure it out yourself. Suffering, you need to deal with it, and you need to figure out a way to deal with it. And for me, it's faith in God. That's the only door that I find that leads us out of suffering. And we see that in Scripture, we see a lot of texts. If you look at the Bible and you study the Bible, there's so many explanations that help us meditate on this aspect of our lives and how faith in God is the one that leads us out of there. For example, from 2 Corinthians, we are afflicted in every way but not crushed, perplexed but not driven to despair, persecuted but not forsaken, struck down but not destroyed. And we're also called to help each other in our suffering in life, bear one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ from Galatians. And then we know through faith that somehow God always gets something good out of everything that we go through. For example, from Romans, we know that all things work together for good for those who love God, who are called according to His purpose. And we also get that promise from 2 Corinthians, this light moments of affliction is preparing us for an eternal weight of glory beyond all comparison. Can you imagine? Beyond any comparison, as we look to the things that are not seen, but the things that are unseen. For the things that are seen are transient, but the things that are unseen are eternal. So the gateway to understand suffering is faith. You know, when I was laying on that hospital bed, when I was sick, the thing that consoled me the most was thinking of God. And what's so interesting is that suffering unites us to others, because when I was suffering on that bed in that hospital, I was praying, and I was praying for everyone, every single person, friends and enemies. That's what suffering does when we bring it to God. It really prepares us for ministry, because we're all called to help God to bring others to Him. And ultimately, suffering prepares us to open our hearts so that we can make that eternal journey to heaven. May the Lord in this Lent, in this Holy Week, help us understand a little bit more the sufferings of Christ, so that we may discover the treasures that are behind all our crosses.